This is the tea I keep on thinking about since I got it. We call it Laos BoHeTang because it's just on the other side of BoHeTang, just on the Laos side. And so you have these three terroirs. You have like Duishu, BoHeTang, Ishanmo, and then on the other side, just on the other side of the border, you have these really, really high trees. The tea which this is made of, they're all type 1, so they are like properly big gaogans, so like the top 5% oldest in the garden, 15 meters and higher. We mean 50 meters and higher by gaogan. Some people mean like 5 meters, but we mean the proper thing. And it's been very, very hard to think about even the name. Like at first I wanted to call it Laos Bawang, or like the dominant king of Laos. But then in the end, the more I compared it, and I drank this a lot. I keep on thinking about this tea. So right now I'm comparing it to 2018 BoHeTang. So BoHeTang has got very famous, and you might have already heard this from me, that from 2019 in particular, it's kind of overpicked. So it's really, really hard to find good modern BoHeTang. And actually, when you talk to BoHeTang, to like really expert people, they're like, how about Feng Wan Wo? So Feng Wan Wo is just nearby. And it's arguably the best garden in the Goyolin. So we have some Feng Wan Wo, but Feng Wan Wo is really, really hard. And, type 1 trees, there's only like less than BoHeTang, about 30. BoHeTang is 49. So BoHeTang used to be great. Like the best BoHeTang I tried was a 2015 pure type 1. That was great. It's like, I remember I was just like chatting and they're like, oh, wait, this is going to be strong. And I kind of drank it like that. Like, whoa. So the chi, the texture, the chi and the texture, I think those are the really two strong things about BoHeTang. So BoHeTang is quite lower elevation. So something, I think it's about 1400 meters, while a lot of the time you get more like 1600 even in the Iwu Goyolin, Iwu State Protected Forest, and on this Laos side as well. But let's do this two first, and I'll keep on talking to you about this. So on the right, I got my new obsession, the Laos BoHeTang 2025, and on the left, I got this 2018 BoHeTang Gushu I got from a friend. So you can see that the BoHeTang is obviously been aging quite a bit. So, this is the color of slightly aged tea. This is the color of a 2025 tea. But when I try them, it's, even though the BoHeTang is more aged, you can kind of feel that it's not quite as smooth. So let's try both. I'll start with the Laos BoHeTang. So what they have in common is kind of like this very, very sticky texture. Like texture is one of the things that BoHeTang is really known for, particularly as it ages. It becomes really, really thick and rich. However, the proper BoHeTang is quite a little bit more harsh. It's something that will happen with lower elevation tea. Lower elevation tea is a bit more bitter and a bit more astringent. But this is just so much smoother. Some of it is because it's higher elevation, but mostly it's because this is type 1. So type 1 are the biggest trees, while if you were to have BoHeTang type 1, now it's impossible because of over-harvested, but even in 2018, it would have costed you 5-6 times as much as this, if not 10 times. Sorry, no, type 1 would have costed you so much more. Type 2 costs quite a bit more. Type 1, I think the K 2015 I tried was about 70,000 RMB. I don't know what that is. It's probably 8,000-9,000 US. So that's the kind of level you would pay for BoHeTang to have type 1 trees. Yeah, it's just, although they're both really, really good at texture, and they got quite this explosive taste, arguably the older one, a little bit more of this explosive taste. The older one, the proper Iwu side BoHeTang, is not as smooth. While the Laos side, it's really ethereally smooth, and like even the stomach feels really, really comfortable, even though it's 2025. So you would expect the older tea to be like way more comfortable. 2018 is 7 years. So even though it's new, it's way more comfortable and way more smooth than the older one. So that was essentially about why we decided to call this BoHeTang Laos. It's got the same kind of texture, the same kind of explosive flavor, and at the same time, it's much better than actual Yiwu side, China side BoHeTang that you can get these days. This is how the rest of one of my cakes looks like. It's got this handsome dark leaves, which, it's 2025, and usually when you get this darker leaves, it's because properly old tree have more of these darker leaves. Not all of them, but particularly Yiwu Guiyulin, this happens. Guiyulin being a state protected forest, this happens quite often. So I'm gonna have a couple more cups. But yeah, this is the tea I've been drinking the most. I've been drinking a lot of Lao Banjian and Feng Guangwo as well, but this was a surprise. I mean, of course, we do know that in Laos, particularly when it's very, very near the Yiwu Guiyulin, when it's on the other side, there's some areas that are really not as over-harvested as over in Yiwu. So we know that in theory, and I tried some teas that were really good, but this must be, by far the best that I tried. Yeah, there's no question in my mind, like between these and 99% of Yiwu side teas, this is better. Yeah, sticky texture, explosive taste, aftertaste, absolutely everywhere, like even in 1 or 2 cups, can feel it everywhere. Can feel it in the throat. Even my stomach feels so much more comfortable than it does normally with younger tea. So that's a sign of properly very, very old trees. Aromas are good. In fact, there's kind of aroma in the nostril as well. Like it's really one of those teas that kind of fills you up and empty you out. What do I mean by that? I mean that some teas you kind of drink them and it's kind of like just a liquid. It doesn't leave a persistent residue in the mouth and let alone in the throat or the nostril. While this kind of really goes in and it's really, really quite sticky. So, always hard to know what makes it so good. But my understanding is that, well, of course, the tea doesn't care about borders, but the more far away you go from the state protected forest, and for me, generally the less quality there is. That is true. However, when you're so nearby, and when you have on one side, you have trees that have been picked 3-4 times a year for 10 years by now because there's so much demand. And on the other side, you have harder to get trees that are kind of more semi-wild, then you can see how you will get something very, very good just outside. Well, we're hoping that we can keep the owners of this land from picking this more than once a year. And so this was only the first spring pick. There was going to be no second spring pick. We're hoping to let them avoid the autumn as well, so we can have more of this. But in any case, this year we got it. That's a real success. It's one of those teas that, well, you get it once, but then, if the farmers or the owners start to understand how good it is and how much price they can get from it, very often they start to pick it a lot. And then before you know, you have another situation like BoHeTang, where now it's picked 4 times a year, and after a few years of that, the tea is really not very interesting. Like the best BoHeTang from before 2019 are really, really good teas, but after they're all right, but nothing special, nothing to write home about like this one is. I tried making a 2-minute steep just to see what happens. So great. It's still not astringent. I mean, obviously there's quite a lot of good bitter punch, but it splashes eye in the palate. The aftertaste is very good. This is not only great to drink now, but it will age. I believe it will age like the 2015 BoHeTang I was referring to, which it's maybe the best pour I ever tried, actually. Certainly of the newer stuff. So yeah, really, really excited about this. Try some.